Lena was a daughter of privilege, born into a world of opulence and expectations. Her life was a carefully curated existence, filled with social events, prestigious schools, and a future mapped out by her influential family. Yet, despite the comfort and security, she felt a deep emptiness, a longing for something real, something more. On the other side of town, Marco lived a life starkly different from Lena's. His world was one of hard work and perseverance, defined by the struggle to make ends meet and support his family. He was proud of his heritage, of the tight-knit community that had raised him, but he knew the limitations it imposed on his dreams. Their worlds collided one evening at a charity event where Lena volunteered to break free from the suffocating expectations of her family. Marco, there by chance working as part of the catering team, caught her eye. Their gazes locked, and in that moment, something sparked, something neither could explain. Despite their vastly different backgrounds, Lena and Marco couldn't resist the pull they felt toward each other. They began meeting in secret, stealing moments in places where their worlds wouldn't collide, hidden cafes, secluded parks, the edges of the city where no one would recognize them. Their conversations flowed easily, each one a step deeper into the other's world. Lena was fascinated by Marco's resilience and strength, while Marco was captivated by Lena's warmth and compassion, qualities that belied her privileged upbringing. But as their love grew, so did the obstacles. Lena's family, protective of their status, began to suspect something was amiss. Meanwhile, Marco's friends warned him of the dangers of falling for someone from a world so different from his own. The barriers that once seemed distant now loomed large, threatening to tear them apart. Lena and Marco fought hard to be together, but the pressures from their respective worlds became unbearable. Lena's family, upon discovering the truth, demanded she end the relationship, threatening to disown her if she refused. They saw Marco as an outsider, someone who could never belong in their world. Marco, too, faced immense pressure. His community, though supportive, couldn't understand why he would pursue a relationship that seemed destined for heartbreak. They urged him to let go, to find someone who understood the struggles they all shared. Torn between love and duty, Lena and Marco began to drift apart. Their once carefree meetings became fraught with tension, their conversations laced with the unspoken fear that their love wasn't enough to bridge the gap between their worlds. The weight of their differences began to crush the joy they had once found in each other. In a final desperate attempt to save their love, Lena made the painful decision to leave her family behind. She walked away from the life she had always known, choosing Marco over the comfort and security of her privileged world. It was a decision that cost her everything: her family, her status, her future as she had always imagined it. Marco, overwhelmed by the magnitude of Lena's sacrifice, vowed to build a life with her, even if it meant starting from nothing. They moved to a small, run-down apartment in a part of the city far from the world Lena had left behind. Together, they faced the harsh realities of a life without the safety net Lena had always known, but their love gave them strength. For a time, they were happy. They learned to navigate their new world, to rely on each other in ways they had never imagined. But the shadows of the past lingered, and the strain of their sacrifices began to take its toll. Lena missed her family, her old life, while Marco struggled with the guilt of what she had given up for him. In the end, the pressures became too much to bear. Lena, worn down by the relentless challenges of their new life, fell ill. Without the support of her family, without the resources she once had, her health deteriorated rapidly. Marco, helpless to save her, watched as the woman he loved slipped away. On her deathbed, Lena took Marco's hand, her voice barely a whisper. "We tried," she said, tears streaming down her face. "We tried so hard." Marco, his heart breaking, could only nod. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice choked with grief. "I'm so sorry." With her last breath, Lena smiled at him, a smile filled with love and sorrow. "I wouldn't have changed a thing," she said softly before slipping away. Marco stood alone at Lena's grave, the weight of their love and the price they had paid pressing down on him. He had lost the woman he loved, and with her, the future they had dreamed of together. But in his heart he knew that their love, though brief, had been real. It had transcended the barriers that had tried to keep them apart, even if it couldn't overcome them in the end. As he walked away, he carried with him the memory of Lena's sacrifice, a bittersweet reminder of the love they had shared, and the world that had never been ready to accept it.